boxing fans, boxing critics, boxing analysts. What is good, Renee Box Young? Back at you once again. Hey, I just want to break down this video with, talking about Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Why Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship? Because I like boxing, and I like the sport of boxing, and this is somewhat similar. I've been wanting to do a video about this here, some time ago, since, so this has been for, I've been brainstorming, and I first want to just break it down, okay? And I just went to the site, and I just, so you guys can see what it's about, okay? This is bareknuckle.tv, and you can just go here, link in the description, and it explains it. And I want to break it down for you, alright? I usually try to do my videos quick and fast, but, this is a little bit more a breakdown on Bkfc. Is the first promotion allowed to hold a legal sanctioned and regulated bare knuckle event in the U.S. since 1889. So, if you go back to the history, bare knuckle fighting has been around for centuries. So, it's interesting, and I'm gonna break down my personal analysis and opinions about it. First, let me just break this, explain this, so, based in Philadelphia and headed by President and former professional boxer David Feldman. David Feldman is the founder, alright? So, let's check it out. David Feldman, who is that? It says here is a former, so you go to BoxRec and you'll see, he had a short professional career, 4 fights, 1 loss. So, here's his professional career, very short. So, he has a little bit of experience, the welterweight division right here. So, so he used to box. Yeah, and, now let's continue here. Bkfc, alright, is dedicated to preserving the historical legacy of bare knuckle fighting. So, it's interesting, man. He wants to preserve the pureness, the purity of what bare knuckle fighting is, while utilizing specifically created rule set which emphasizes fighter safety. That's good. Like I said, I'm gonna give my personal intake in a moment. And so I just want to break this down so you guys can, many people still kind of don't know what bare knuckle fighting is, as far as the new sport that's popping up, so that's cool. This, fighter safety, is a priority, right? Bkfc, which will hold, all of its bouts revolutionary circle 4 rope ring. It's already doing it. It's been around for about a year, more than a year, designed to encourage fast-paced and exciting bouts. If you haven't seen any of these fights, guys, it is definitely fast-paced and exciting. That's what bare knuckle fighting brings, you guys. It's just action-packed fights, rounds, man, 5 rounds, even more rounds in championship bouts. That's what it explains. So, let me just explain here. It says the patented Bkfc quote-unquote squared circle contains scratch lines based on the Broughton rules. What are the Broughton rules? Broughton rules, if I'm mispronouncing, sorry. It says here, okay, you go here. Like I said, look, it's been around for centuries, you guys, bare knuckle fighting. It's a trip, huh? How you go back to the history, and you see how it's the sports, have been around for centuries and centuries, thousands of years actually. So now the Broughton rules, if you go down here, okay, you go to this page, link in the description, alright. It explains it here. It says, let's go here, it's in the second, around the second paragraph. No, I'm sorry, the third. Okay, sorry about that. There were no. It just breaks down the history of fighting and stuff. So there were no weight divisions or round limits, and no referee back in those days. In general, it was extremely chaotic. The first boxing rules, called the Broughton rules, there you go, were introduced by champion Jack Broughton in 1743 to protect fighters. What we were just talking about a moment ago, but their safety, right? In the ring, where deaths sometimes occurred. Under these rules, if a man went down and could not continue after a count of 30 seconds, the fight was over. Hitting a downed fighter and grasping below the waist were prohibited. Broughton also invented and encouraged the use of mufflers, quote-unquote, a form of padded gloves, which were used in training and exhibitions. I remember when I was training, like I mentioned several videos, I used to train down here in Mexico in boxing, and there was a big old poster in the gym, and the gloves, gloves are for protection, so and then that poster explained the reason why there are gloves, and they weren't mufflers. They're not mufflers nowadays, obviously, but you know, thanks to Broughton, right? That this was invented, and now modern day gloves are definitely helpful for protection. So it protects a lot of fighters, man. So here we see, you could just go read it on, so those are the rules, okay? You see a little bit, you can read a little bit more about the rules here, but that's mainly what it consists of. Boxer safety, certain specific rules, because before it was really chaotic. Bare knuckle boxing was just crazy stuff. So let's get a little bit more into it. Okay, now the thing here I wanted to break down also is that, and reading this, okay, it says, and highlight more like, in Bkfc Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, okay, only those fighters, watch this, only those fighters who are established professionals of boxing, MMA, kickboxing, or Muay Thai will be allowed to compete, okay, are allowed to compete. This will be like future, but now, it's happening. It's been more than a year, so. The referees and judges will also be required to have extensive professional combat sports experience. So, I mean, you have seen Paulie Malignaggi, right? Ishe Smith is also about boxing there. You got. I want to go to the fighters now. Watch in the page. It's cool because it shows the fighters, and this is what I want to highlight to you guys. I don't know if you guys have seen much of the fighters or anything, but I have been watching it. I have been seeing it, and the fights and stuff. And I really like Reggie Barnett. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's a boxer, pro boxing experience. There are some good fighters. But what I like about bare knuckle fighting, you guys, is that I like the boxing skills element that is incorporated in this sport. That's what I like about it. Okay, so Reggie Barnett. There are lots of fighters. And Paulie Malignaggi's around here somewhere. Let's find him. I think he's around here. And there was just a bloody fight. It was this guy right here, Artem Lobov against Knight. That was just whoa. Well, I'm gonna get into that in a moment. About the fighting. Paulie Malignaggi. So you got the fighters here. You can check them out. Beck Rawlings. Yeah, Beck Rawlings and Sam Shoemaker. He's a really good heavyweight in bare knuckle fighting. They got some skills, man. That's what I like about you. That's what I'm saying. You guys see some talent in this. It's many people see it as and this is what I kind of want to get to. Okay, is that many people see it as a little bit too extreme. That's one element I don't like about it. Before we get into that, sorry guys, before we get into it, let's get the ring, okay? So you go to the video. That's cool because they have a little video here, and you go to the ring, okay, and then here's a little graphic on it, and I just want to show you this part. See right here, it's the squared circle they call it, and this is where they toe the line, right? They go to the center, toe the line right there. You see those two lines, and then in this video it breaks down the rules, and it's interesting because this ring was created in such a way where you can get maximum viewership, where you can really see up close, and it's interesting, man. It's intense. And in this video and in the page when you go check it out, it explains that I'll just let you watch the ring there. It talks about the rules, okay? So when they clinch, part of some of the rules, elaborating a little bit more on the rules when they're fighting, is when the fighters are fighting in there, they clinch, and they can punch they punch their way out with one arm while they're clinching with the other arm. So they can just punch their way out, man. Bam, bam, bam. That's permitted while they're clinched with another arm. They're also, it's interesting, they're allowed to grab the back of their necks, of the neck of their opponent or head, and keep punching while they're in clinches. Also, that's also permitted. That's intense, man. That's intense. And so is that those are just a couple rules, just to give you an idea, and this, the hand wraps. If you go to the hand wraps, and check out the hand wraps right there, this explains it. It's a cool video, and there's no padding at all. So that's the thing. What I want to get into too, I want to kind of highlight it, that it's bloody, man. Like I said, that's where there's extreme damage done, you guys. That's the thing I don't really approve of. like I said, I mainly watch it because of the boxing element and skills that is shown, put forth in the ring, in bare knuckle fighting. And like I said, Lobov, man, Artem Lobov fought against a guy whose last name is Knight. I don't remember his first name, but man, that fight's gonna go in the history books, man. That's in the history books of the sport, bare knuckle fighting, definitely. And you guys saw how Paulie Malignaggi got cut up when he fought. I mean, he got real cut up. So, and that was nothing compared to this fight with Artem Lobov. I mean, that was. Oh, there it is. Sorry, Jason Knight. There he is. Yeah. So Jason Knight versus Artem Lobov. That was a fight in the history books for the sport. That really, really shows like how dangerous it can get, and that's what I don't approve of. I mean, these guys were going at it all 5 rounds, and this guy, Jason Knight's. Oh man, his face was just torn apart. So was Artem's, man. I mean, these guys are just warriors, man. I mean, he was also getting cut up towards the end of the fight, but this guy towards around the second round, I don't remember which round, he was just horribly, his face was disfigured, man. I mean, wow. But, and then Britton Hart, okay, if you go back and watch the fight again with Britton Hart, I think it was Britton Hart against Beck Rawlings, yeah. Great fight too. I mean, you can just see the boxing skills, and if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Rawlings won that fight. Rawlings, amazing boxing skills from both girls. So I mean, that's what I like about it. I do not approve of the such, gore that sometimes, Reggie Barnett, amazing boxing skills also in the ring. I mean, you just gotta go watch. If you like boxing, if you like the pure elements, skills of boxing. I mean, bare knuckle fighting I like it, but I just don't like, the graphic, intense aspect of it, So I just kind of want to break this down to you. And it's interesting because, this is another thing I want to mention, that, it's like a medium, it's like a sandwich, right? You got 2 extremes. You have boxing, you got professional boxing, and you have UFC, which are 2 different extremes as far as combat sports, right? And then they're totally kind of opposite, but have minimal similarities as far as some boxing is incorporated in UFC, but it's not. I mean, they're 2 different worlds almost, so. And I kind of see, bare knuckle fighting, it's kind of in the middle. It's a healthy medium where MMA fighters can, UFC fighters can go in. And you see that all the time when they go in the fighting, guys. And in bare knuckle fighting, you hear a lot that they have, their MMA, people with a lot of MMA experience, UFC fighters go in there and fight. And with professional boxers. I mean, so I think we're going to see a trend, you guys, in the future where we're going to see more, pro boxers like Paulie Malignaggi, even though he's retired and what have you. But I think we're going to see more of this, you guys. We're going to see more of a trend of a lot of UFC fighters going in this where they can meet boxers, pro boxers, and just go at it. I think we're going to see a lot of it, guys, in the future. And I personally think, a personal analysis on this now, getting into it a little bit more, is that bare knuckle, fighting is going to really blow up, man. It's going to really prosper. As of now, I mean, as of 2018, as you can see here, I mean, it was born 2018, I think around April or something. Since then and now, it's really growing. It's really, I mean, they're real active. They got a lot of fights, and events going on. So what do you guys think, man? What's your opinion? What is your viewpoint on bare knuckle fighting? It's like the intense version of boxing, man. Just super intense because, like I said, they have no wraps over their knuckles. And if you go back to that fight with Lobov and Jason Knight, man, I mean, it looked like a murder. I mean, I don't know, man. It was just quite graphic, So, yeah, Lobov and Jason Knight. If you go back here, and I don't know where they are, but yeah, Lobov, his knuckles were just pouring with blood. They weren't cut though. It was with Jason Knight's blood on his hands, man. It was gruesome stuff right there. Like I said, I didn't really, I just like to see most of the boxing skills in it portrayed in the ring, and you do get a lot out of it. I mean, if you check it out with that kind of mindset, you learn a lot. I mean, from when it comes to skills and things like that, stamina and those kinds of things, ringmanship, in the ring, how people cut off the ring. Like for example, how fighters cut off the ring in there, like Beck Rawlings. Like for example, Beck Rawlings, when she fought that other opponent, Beck Rawlings, she was cutting off when she was fighting Britton Hart. Rawlings was cutting off the ring very well, as it is, the ring is quite small. So, I mean, there's not much running around. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of action because you can't really run around. You can't really, a boxing ring, pro boxing ring, you can run around a lot, and you can avoid, you can just box it out, like, from a distance, but in bare knuckle fighting, man, in that squared circle, there's just so much you can run, man. I mean, it's like made for, you have to go at it. And Beck Rawlings, she was cutting, even though her opponent, Hart, was, she was running, she was on the bike, she was backpedaling a lot and boxing from the outside. Beck Rawlings was cutting off the ring amazingly, and she was using, she was just more patient, more, just waiting. And every time that Hart would execute an attack from the outside, she would counter. Rawlings would counter beautifully. She would just, and just waiting and cutting off, cutting off. Not really like Triple G, but a little taste of that skill there. But wow, I mean, that's what I'm saying, and also when you go to that heavyweight, Shoemaker, I mean, there are lots of fighters. These guys fought too. Sam Shoemaker and Chase Sherman in heavyweights, if I'm not mistaken. And Shoemaker, he's good. So Sherman too. I mean, you see interesting things, you guys. You see interesting skills and talent in this sport. So, I mean, maybe you're like, you know what, this is not for me. It's too much for me, or I just, I'll stick to boxing, pro boxing and stuff. But that's cool, But I just wanted to, bring this out so you can get an idea, a taste of what it is, And if it's too much, I mean, I understand, because I don't really approve of the gore of it, But I just, it's really action packed, and I think it's, it's gonna grow, you guys. I think this is gonna really, really grow in the future, and it's gonna keep growing, and it's gonna get more. It's gonna get bigger and bigger. That's kind of what I see. Clarissa Shields is calling out someone right now in UFC. I forgot the UFC fighter's name, and they can meet here. They can meet here. I mean, that would be crazy, though. I mean, as far as that's really intense, So that's the thing I got to reiterate again: the intensity of not having any protections on those. That's why you see, like, these people get really. Oh yeah, real quick. It says each round is 2 minutes in length and can range from 5 to 7 rounds. So I mean, mostly you see 5 rounds, but here, according to this, you can see 7 or 9 rounds for championship bouts. So yeah, so I mean, it's intense stuff, man. So this is where you really see, like, that's why there are so many extreme, injuries, because they have their face get cut up, their faces get just, split gashes in their face, just for a couple, by a power punch, and so, I mean, that's the thing that you gotta kind of swallow there as far as what this sport brings. But hey, it's really interesting as far as the skills that these fighters bring forth to the table. So what do you guys think, man? What are your comments? Like, subscribe, share. You know what it is. Maybe in the future I'm going to be bringing out more bare knuckle fighting content out, but mostly pro boxing, man. So you know what it is. It's just for the love of the sport, you know what I mean? RENE Box Young coming at you from the south. Y'all know what this is. Thank you so much. Share, etc., etc. Peace.